Welcome back to Jersey Matters. The closing of the Oyster Creek nuclear power plant has had an odd effect, an increase in stinging jellyfish in Barnegat Bay, but that may be a good thing. Returning to talk about this part of the closing of the nuclear power plant and other things, Ron Martyn and Paul Dressler from Concerned Citizens of Lacey Township. Thank you both for coming back, by the way. I'm reading that, I'm talking about that, and you were giggling in the background. It's a small part of a much bigger problem.
The pieces of the puzzle are coming together.
What is this piece of the puzzle?
Well, the piece of as far as the stinging rays or the plant closing.
The stinging rays.
The stinging rays is that the bay is now recovering. The bay was getting a tremendous amount of water circulation from the plant. I believe it was 1.5 billion gallons per day. That was heated water. And that made things from the ecological perspective out of balance. There are fish that are in Barnegat Bay that belong in Florida.
Right, because when it was heated before, now the other fish, the indigenous fish are coming back, the ones that should be here. From what I understand, the problem was not only the heating of the water, but the fact that they were taking in so much water, and turtles and crabs and fish were dying at the grates to come in and out of the nuclear power plant. Then you had the heating of the water, which was killing most of the fish that would be up here in the first place. Right. So this is a good part of it. Everybody's complaining about the stinging rays, or at least the media is, but it's actually good news.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because all the wildlife's coming back now. So now let's get on to some of the real issues. I understand that your biggest concern is not the stinging jellyfish, or I know the environmental part of this is a big part. The last time you were here, the big complaint is nobody's talking to you. That every time they do talk to you, you have to push them. I asked a question of both of you a second ago. I said, "Who's overseeing this?" You went, "Us." We're it. Our organization. Have you been able to get any answers now?
At the 9/23 meeting that Holtec ran, they said they would not do a CAB, which means there'd be no eyes and ears from the public as far as the citizens in standing.
So they're telling you you have no place in this.
Yeah.
You're not going to get to oversee anything. You're not a part of this.
Yeah.
The people that would be the most affected.
Yeah, and then at the 10/3 meeting that was run by the NRC, we brought up a number of questions about safety, prior audits that were done by the office.
You satisfied with the answers?
No, not really, as far as stuff like that, because we gave them examples and said, what are you going to do with these examples? Are you going to learn from history? One of the things they talked about is prior decommissioning could have been done more efficient. There's an issue within the NRC itself that they have a talent issue as far as stuff like that, because a lot of folks in their agency is retiring.
I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, because I think we lose people on all of this when we start getting too deep. It is important to point out, though, and correct me if I'm wrong in this, that those two meetings you're talking about, they didn't hold those meetings voluntarily. They were pushed into them by legislators.
That's a correct assumption.
And that was you going to legislators saying, we're not getting answers.
Right.
What is your biggest concern? If they're going to decommission this and they do it properly, you shouldn't have a concern.
That's
right?
correct.
What is your biggest concern?
The lack of transparency. One of the things that they're going to do is they're going to use a project modeler called critical path method, and that lays out everything that has to be done. For example, when the license was transferred, change the lock on the door, put the new signs out front. Well, now they're in the process of taking the control arms and blades off some of the equipment in there. Contract goes to GE Hitachi. We don't know the value. We don't know where they stand. We don't know what was the estimated cost to do it.
Why is that important?
Because the fund is limited. And once they run out of money, guess what? You and I get the chance of paying again.
You mean in the form of taxes or a bond?
Fees.
Taxpayer dollars.
So you're looking at that and you're saying, what's the big difficulty in being transparent? It's a regular project model that every company has used for any major project. So if you're not willing to share that, if you're not willing to let people know where you stand on your funding, why is that?
Well, let me ask a bigger question. Why is it just you? Like, why is it just this group? Why is it the two of you and the people that are with you? How come we don't have more legislators? How come there's not people from the state? Where's the governor in all of this? If the concern is that they might shortchange the taxpayers, the state has a stake in this. Have you contacted them?
Well, the governor finally set up an oversight board, which is going to be run by the DEP and several other organizations, but there's no public comment. A typical thing would be that we just saw is a safety issue on evacuation. There's no plan for evacuation. What do they do about minorities in our town as far as
Can
stuff?
you get those questions answered?
We have tried.
Now that you have the state involved, as you just said, do you feel like you'll be able to get those questions answered?
Some of the questions have been answered by a member of the DEP, but the questions that the decommissioning agent and the ANRC should be answering have not been answered. Each of the meetings that I referenced, within a week or so, those questions that were asked and not answered, those questions would appear on a website with the answers.
What I'm trying to do is hone in on your biggest gripe, and it seems to be there is some oversight on this, right? There is some federal oversight on it,
right.
there's some state oversight on it, in it. So it is being watched. Your concern is that the citizens aren't getting answered, the
That's
township's
correct.
not getting answered, the people and the stakeholders near the plant aren't getting answered.
Right. There appears to be because of a lack of knowledge, the significance of a plant closing
Knowledge.
on the part of the government.
Oh, I see. Not the part of the people that are doing
No,
it.
not a part of the people that are doing it, okay? There are 4 plants in New Jersey that will close. That's a big stakeholder concern. If we're not getting the answers to the questions, okay, and we're not feeling comfortable with direction, and we're nonpartisan and we're non-parochial, my gosh, why?
And you might end up paying for it, as I will, and everybody will. I know it's a frustrating problem, and it's hard to, in a few minutes to let people
Right.
know what's going on, but please come back. We want to continue with this because it is frustrating, and if you're right, it's going to be a big problem.
It will be.
Thank you. Ron Martyn and Paul Dressler, concerned citizens of Lacey Township. Still to come on Jersey Matters, put your money back in your pocket. Barter is coming back. We'll explain when Jersey Matters continues.